different music.
Somebody take the
I'm
button
just
from
bringing it
him.
on, bringing them on. We're bringing the guest on. Here we go. Ready, guest? All right, all right. Hey, guest.
Oh man.
Hey, guest. Hey, special
Hi.
guest.
My name is Guest. I'm glad to be here.
Should put guest on your name. You spelled guest wrong. How you doing?
I'm doing good, my brother. How about you?
I can't complain. No point in that.
Another well written tirade, my friend. Well written, well read.
Thank you.
That was in your Thursday night, wasn't it?
That was part of it. On Thursday night, I had written something, and then when I got screwed up getting on, I reset the computer and lost all my updates. So I
That's
kind of went in there, updated it, did some other
yeah.
stuff.
Because I'm sitting here thinking, did I dream this? Is this deja vu, or did I thought I just heard that? You know?
Words are just angelic.
That's what I said to him too when he read it to me earlier. I was like, wait, I feel like I've heard this already. I've heard that too.
I'm really scratching my head, but it was really as well written, well thought out, well said, my friend.
Thank you kindly. Party Bonza.
We party bonds on her. Hey, buddy. Um, agree 100%. We're in a this has already happened in history too. A lot of times we forget and we read of the victories of 1775, 1776. But you got to remember that Washington was actually um, he was struggling to keep an army together for a long time there, and there was even executions for desertion and floggings and all kinds of stuff like that. So when you start when people start to come together and they start to do something, um, we're not going to be good at it at first, and there's going to be a lot of mistakes made, and there's going to be a lot of people that take advantage, like you were talking about, take advantage of the situation for their own personal gain. And by that I don't even mean that financially, um, or only financially. There are people that want to, and I don't have any problem with um, people coming in that are professional live streamers, have been for years, and they're covering the situation. But they also happen to agree with us and are covering it. I got no problem with that. But that's not even who I'm talking about. Man, I'm not complaining about this. I'm not crying about it, but I gave away a lot of money to people when the convoy was going on. I remember one lady, she was on the Telegram channel, and she was talking about being cold and um, didn't have the money to get something. I forget what it was now. And I found her, and I knew immediately that she was a scammer. Because when you help somebody that truly is in need of help, then they're very appreciative of it, or there's a spirit that goes with that. And it was just like, oh, thank you, and just took the money from me, and she got what she wanted, and that was it. I'm like, oh, I think I just got scammed, which is to me, I don't. That's fine, because I would rather stand on the day of judgment and have God say, you got scammed. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. Then they say, I told you to do something and you didn't do it. Okay, I'll take the latter, or take the first rather than the latter, rather. But there's always going to be those people that are, um, and it's again not just about money. There are people that are looking to make a name for themselves. We've seen that a lot, in what we have done, and that is to me just as, if not more, disgusting than those who would try to get money out of the situation. I don't know which one would be worse. Actually, I keep vacillating between the two. Um, on my opinion, this is just my opinion, guys. I'm just telling you my heart on this subject. I have a deep concern, and those from 1776 that have reached out to me and asked me what I thought about this convoy. I am like you. There is, it infuriates me that we have to do this to start with. It infuriates me that this is even an issue that we have to talk about or have to do. But at the same time, I know this government, and I know that they're absolutely losing their narrative on January 6th. Absolutely. They did not expect for those videos to come out. They thought they had to. As a matter of fact, the guy from Georgia, his name just slipped my mind, who is actually handling the J6 investigation, the Republican from Georgia. I cannot get his name to come. But he said he has proven that when they sent the videos to him, when they took over the House and the Democrats sent the videos to him, there was tons of data that had been deleted by them before they sent it to him. That is proven. So
that was probably just so that the file size would work in the email.
Oh yeah, they had to downsize. Yeah, that's all it was. I mean, it was just nonsense anyway. Sure. But so when the videos started coming out, they started losing control of the narrative that portrays the right as this violent extremist bunch of people. So, and this is not the first time I've said this. I've said this many times actually to people that have called me or texted me. But they want to, they have to recreate a narrative showing us as violent extremists. And when we went into DC, it was easy for me to tell my people, no weapons. Because if you go into DC and you've got a weapon and you're caught with it, it's mandatory 2 years.
Yep.
And you're going to prison. That's all there is to it. Whereas in Texas, it's a totally different story. It's not a big deal to carry a weapon in Texas. They don't care. And I agree with that. I 100% support that. But at the same time, all it takes is in my opinion, a Ray Epps type character. I don't know that, I can't say for sure about Ray Epps. It does look questionable, but this is just my opinion. That all it takes is a Ray Epps type character to step out and do something. We saw how easily January 6th went awry, but this time it could get really bad. And go if you want to go. If one of my dear friends called me and said, I feel like I'm being led by God to go. I said, then go, but at the same time, be cautious. Keep your head on a swivel. Keep your head about you, and don't be drawn into the fray on this stuff. Keep yourself as a moral, prudent, sober individual. Remember your mission. Remember who you represent, and represent well. And just be very, very cautious. And I was talking to somebody tonight, another dear friend of mine from Michigan, and I said, we need to pray like we've never prayed before. This is serious business. This is, we know from recent history what they're capable of doing. We know from recent history what they like to do. Don't give them that opportunity. Don't give them. And there are so many people in America right now, and this infuriates me, Max. I mean, this infuriates me. They want blood. They want a civil war. Let me tell you something. There's nobody in their right mind wants this to become a war. I'm not saying that it won't become a war, and I'm not saying that war might not be necessary. I'm not saying that. But nobody wants it that is in their right mind. Nobody wants that.
Nobody that knows what war is.
Well, it's like, I'm right now. I'm in St. Louis. It's the most dangerous city in the United States. And when I go out in the city, I'm constantly vigilant. Not because I'm afraid, not because I don't think I can handle myself. I don't want to go there. I want to stop that before it ever starts. It's the fool who walks around wanting to. I've got nothing to prove. I've done proved myself so many times in this life. I don't have to prove to myself who I am anymore. I don't want to have to do that. So I walk around very vigilant. I keep my head on a swivel. I'm constantly aware of my surroundings. That's what we have to do now. While we try to get this done in a peaceful manner. But there are people who want this to happen. And if you take the last civil war we had in this country, 800,000 people lost their lives in that. 800,000 Americans lost their lives. That's, if I remember right, it's either 2.4% or 2.9% of the American population at that time. 2.4 or 2.9. It's been a long time since we looked at numbers. Take those numbers and equate that to today's population. We're talking millions.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fool that wants that. You know, I'm not saying, again, I'm not saying that it's not going to happen. I'm not saying that it shouldn't happen. But we should try everything we can to keep it from happening. We must, Mags, you and I have talked about this. I've said it on stages all across the country. Integrity. We have to keep our integrity. We have to be moral people at all times. We're going to fail. We're going to fall. I mean, my failures, my faults have been broadcast to the nation. It's part of the humanity that I hate about myself, but I'm fallible. I'm human. But at the same time, I'm not going to use my humanity as an excuse for my planned failures. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say, well, I'm human. There's some people are choosing to push this into the wrong direction right now. And I told somebody that day, I said, "You're fools." I get this question. I was stopped the other day, Mags, on the back of my truck. I still got 1776 restoration movement. And guy, I thought I was in trouble. He was one of the yard dogs at this place I pick up at all the time. And he flags me down, comes out, and I thought he was going to yell at me for something I done wrong. I'm like, "What did I do?" And he comes around and goes, "I noticed that on the back of your truck at 1776 Restoration Movement." I said, "Yeah." I said, "That's a organization that we've got that's trying to take back our country." He goes, "Well, when are we going to start shooting?" I'm like,
It sounds like Alabama.
And I wish that was a rare occurrence, but it's not. It happens all the time. And he saw the look on my face. He said, "Well, I guess we don't want to go there yet, do we?" I said, No. There's there's a very small window that we have to perpetrate violence. It's very small. It's only when my physical body or my life or somebody else's physical body or life is in jeopardy. And it's a very small window. And it's, right now it's our finances, it's our homes. Well, look at the War of Independence that we fought in 1776. Or 1775 it started. It started before that, but Lexington and Concord. You know,
I always worry about the people, not worry about them, but the people and so this convoy thing starts, right, and then everybody's like, "Yeah, let's convoy." Yes, the people at home are on it and donating and they all want support, something like that, and that is a wonderful thing to have people out there that are willing to support a good mission. And I think it's a good mission originally. I don't. It's my concern is because I said something about it the other day on Twitter or something, and I got a bunch of comments. How could you? What do you mean? And blah blah blah. Like I'm against the idea, which I'm not against the idea. I just know what comes with it and what surrounds that, and a lot of people don't, and it's just
I know your fear. Your fear is that this will be another convoy that just saps the American people again and saps that desire. You know, we can only take so many beatings across the back before we say, you know. But here's the thing is, Max, and I want people to hear me on this and understand this. When I shut 1776 down, I'm not quitting. That the reason I shut that down was not because I don't want to fight for freedom anymore, or that I don't want to fight for what's right anymore. Absolutely not. No. I've got just as much fire in my gut right now as I've ever had. Maybe more. Maybe more. Um, it is directed in a little different vein than it had been before. Um, well, here's the bottom line. I tried to get people to stand together against the government. We had two grievances, Mags. I think you kind of remember those, right?
I was just working on one of those today to update it.
Well, we might need an updated version,
Yeah.
because in all honesty, we put the emphasis on the government. Why? Because that's the easy one to go after. That's a central location, and it's the sexy one to go after. You know, it's these big monuments, these big buildings, and it's this big, beautiful uh, uh, strip of land that we can stand on, and it's enemy territory. You know what I'm saying? When we were down there, man, the enemy was all around us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they
But
were.
in retrospect, the real problem started long before DC. The real problem was that other grievance.
Yep.
That's the real problem. I was listening to a guy the other day, and he was talking about 100 years before Jefferson and Washington and all of them in 1775 and 1776. And I'm excuse me, I'm a bit tired tonight, so names are starting to slip out of my mind now.
It's Mags.
Not
No,
because it's
call
not
me.
because of the time, trust me. But this guy was talking about that 100 years before them guys, there was a preacher. Almost has his name again for a second there. Anyway, he was preaching. He preached on freedom. He preached it from his pulpit, Max. His messages were so powerful and so anointed that the founding fathers got his messages 100 years later, rebound them and or bound them and republished them all across the country. They sold out so quick they had to do a second publication on them. And some of his words from those messages ended up in the Declaration of Independence. Quote his words right in those documents. So
Mm.
100 years before, a man of God stood in a pulpit and preached the word of God with such an anointing that it moved people 100 years later. I don't think we got 100 years, but we do have that guy's messages, and I'm looking for them now. That's why it's bothering me that I can't get his name to come to me. But um, I am going to focus. I love the American people, Mags. I love them. I'm telling you, what I seen, we seen evil people, and we saw nasty, negative, vile people. We saw all that, and a lot of times we focused on that way too much. But we also saw some really, really good people. We saw some amazing patriots. We saw some amazing people of God. And I I love those people. I love them with all of my heart, and I want to help those people do what needs to be done to restore integrity in our nation. And I've been writing. I've been I'll get a scripture, and I'm like, okay, I've got a notepad that I'm keeping things on. Okay, I want to do a series on this, or I want to do a video on this. So um, in the very near future, that's what it doesn't involve everybody. It doesn't involve anybody. It's just me. And basically what I'm going to try to do, and this is just my heart and just my words, but I want to see a revival um, in our nation, and I want to help train. Not that I am something special. I'm not acting like I'm something special at all. As a matter of fact, I was telling somebody the other day, I have to be the first partaker of this. This has already started becoming a reality in my life. Um, I want us to become the special forces of the Christian world. The and I don't mean this in a secular way, but the elite forces for God, where we are the ones that are storming the strongholds, that we are the ones that are praying down and preaching down and calling down revival. It has to happen. It has to happen. Somebody asked me the other day, this guy was hopeless, Mags. He was totally hopeless. It was heartbreaking to talk to him. He had no hope whatsoever. And he says, there's nothing we can do. There is absolutely nothing. What do we do? I said, we have to have a revival of morality. People hate that word, morality. They hate
Scary.
it. Why? Because they want to be immoral.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he immediately tied that to religion. I said, excuse me, I said, morality has nothing to do with religion. There used to be a time, these are self evident things. They were self evident, Max. That means that everybody recognized them as being truth. That's morality. These are self evident. We hold these things to be self evident. You don't have to argue about those. But now we're arguing if a boy can be a girl or a girl can be a boy.
They can't.
Even that is not self evident to people today, to some people today. And that shows you where our morality has come to. And if we can expect, if they can't grasp that, if they can't grasp that obviously evident fact, how can they grasp honor and integrity and truthfulness? How can they grasp that? They can't.
Like it's almost like why some people don't want to become Christian, or they fight against it, even though they feel that calling in their heart. That God puts in everybody. Um, because that means they gotta change they gotta look within. Wait, what do you mean? I'll judge all those people, but don't no me. I'm not gonna judge me. What I'm doing is okay because yada 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 whatever.
And that's
And then
largely
you
because of
have the
the
churches that they have like no cross in, where they just we do that so that people come in. They're not so offended or whatever. But I'm like that creates weak Christians,
yeah.
not strong Christians.
Well,
Yeah.
you've got two types of churches now. You've got the church where just don't worry about all that stuff. That's just old tradition, and that's just come on into church, and all they're doing is trying to fill pews.
Mhm.
Then you've got, and there's actually three different kinds, but there's two different that I want to talk about. The third, the other kind is there are good churches in America today. There are solid churches in America today. Then you got the other kind that want to beat you into submission to what they believe the Bible says. Neither one of those are healthy. Neither one of those are good. You don't. You Jesus never beat anybody into submission. Uh, I don't do what I do. I don't live how I live because if I don't, I'm going to get kicked out of the church. I don't care. There's only one person can kick me out of the church. He kind of runs the thing, you know.
Yeah.
As long as, you know.
Can't really appeal to anybody after that.
Exactly. I really don't. I really don't care. There was a day I did, Max. There was a day I did. I wanted my church to think highly of me, and that's miserable. That's miserable because you're human. You're fallible. But what I found about the Lord is He knows my frame. He said He knew my frame, and I mean He knows what I'm made of. And so, as long as I go to Him in my mistake, I heard somebody the other day talking about this. And I thought it was so powerful. He said the difference between Judas and Peter, both of them denied Him. Both of them repented. But Judas goes out and hangs himself. Peter goes fishing. You know, both of them basically done the same thing. But one was Judas had planned his sin. It was premeditated. Where Peter's was in the moment. He got caught up in the moment. And even though it was heinous, it wasn't premeditated. It wasn't something that he planned to do.
Conscious decision.
Yeah. I thought that, man, that's powerful. I never heard anybody say that before. I'd never thought of it, obviously, because it really hit me. But we can be fallible, but we can't be rebellious. We can't be purposefully sinful. We need to, look, I've done things and had to go in the back of my truck and say, God, I'm sorry. My heart is broken. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Help me not to ever do that again. And that's because of my stupid humanity. But like we talked the last time I was on here, that day's coming where I don't have to deal with that anymore. It's not here yet. But there's a work to be done for everybody. And the thing about this is, okay, before there were people that couldn't join us, for whatever reason, they couldn't be there in DC or they couldn't be in Bunker Hill. This endeavor, and I'm not asking for any memberships. I'm not asking for nothing. I'm going to lay this stuff out here, and it's going to be hard. I'm telling you, I'm going to hit the church. I'm going to hit the church hard. I won't hit myself hard. We've allowed things to go on for so long that are not biblical. They're just absolutely not biblical. That now we have no power with God and we have no influence in the world. We have none. We've lost it. We've let the Joel Osteens and all them guys steal from us. Just like you were talking about people coming into the convoys and stealing that spirit that's there from us. We've done the same thing as the church. And it's not just the Joel Osteens. It's the Joe nobody knows on the street corner down the road who is just as filthy and smarmy as Joel Osteen in stealing the victory from the church of God. And are preaching a watered down gospel that is powerless. It has no power whatsoever. And I'm just going to come out, and God's been dealing with me on some things, on what to do. And I'm going to do it to the best of my ability.
So he doesn't ask you to do stuff that he doesn't help you do.
Yeah, I told him I don't want to do it.
I think that there's a couple stories like that in the Bible. I don't want to do it, God. You're going to do it.
I don't
You're
want
gonna do it one way or the other. You're gonna do it, so you might as well just do it this way. He's gonna be the hard way. What's that?
Hard to get back up.
He has broken me. What's she say?
I said it's hard to get back up and keep going after you get knocked down so many times.
Well, it is. It is. But man, our country's still at stake.
It is. It is.
We can't quit. We can't stop. My same reason I joined that convoy. It's still there.
Yeah, it doesn't go away.
My grandkids, my kids, your grandkids, your kids, they can't grow up in this world like this. They cannot. And
They won't have to.
no, they don't have to. That's
But they
true.
won't.
That's the
They won't.
absolute truth. And I just got Bonhoeffer. I want to read him. I want to read about him. It's not his. I've read his writings, but this is a story about what he went through. He doesn't tell that. But I just got a biography about him, and I'll start reading it tomorrow. But here's the deal, guys. Following God, fighting for what's right, it ain't supposed to be easy. It ain't ever going to be easy. It never has been, and it never will be. And thank you, Gator Girl. I just seen what you put up there, Max. Thank you. Love you too, hon. And I'm gonna tell you this. This is one of the things I want to hit on. I want to hit on this right now on Mags' show. The modern day church thinks that heaven is the default.
Mm.
When you die, you just default to heaven. That is not true. There is absolutely no biblical truth to that whatsoever. As a matter of fact, it's just the opposite. We're sinners. We're not even born sinners. We're conceived sinners. And when we die as sinners, we're not going to heaven. And
That's
there's
the
only
message.
one way to go to heaven, and that is through and by the blood of Jesus Christ. That's it. And enough of this nonsense of playing games with other people's souls. Because when we declare everybody went to heaven, then there's no reason to serve God. They didn't serve God. They never committed to Christ. They never accepted him, but they went to heaven. Why should I accept Christ when all dogs go to heaven? No, they don't. No, they
It's
don't.
really a satanic message.
It is. This is the kind of stuff we've got to get to the bottom of. We've got to get this message out. This is the perversion that has stolen our liberty from us. It first stole our liberty with Christ, therefore stealing the blessings of God on our nation. And a nation that forgets God will be turned. That means metamorphosis. It will be literally turned into hell. Enough's enough.
That's where the hope. That's why they always attack it, because that's where hope comes from, and
All of
they
this.
can't take that away from us. That's the only thing they can't take away from us is that hope. So it's like that's why they attack religion so hard. And in the '60s, did the thing with the taxes and silence the churches and yada 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 is because of that. And
Hitler,
now what do we have?
Hitler attacked the church. Mussolini attacked the church.
History stuff.
Lenin or Stalin attacked the church. The Chinese guy,
Wow.
Mao, attacked the church. Why? Because the church is the truth.
The
And
answer.
if you're going to spread a lie, you got to first kill the truth.
The church is the answer. The church is how we got the faith is how we got to the Constitution.
Yeah,
It's how we got to America,
it's it.
really.
Yeah,
So that's the basis of it. That's where we need to center the 1776 was God centered,
yeah.
and that was why it was so powerful. That
It
that
started off that way, but I started focusing on the wrong thing, and and I kept mentioning the other. It was always there, but it became a secondary thing. God is not going to be secondary. I'm telling you, God's not going to be secondary.
Hmm.
If he's going to be secondary, he's going to be nowhere around. So again, I accept my failures. I accept my responsibility. I totally accept it. But I'm not. That doesn't mean that I messed up. Do I just quit? Do I just lay down? Do I just die? No, no, absolutely not. Mistakes are to teach us lessons. So I'm learning my lesson. I'm going to do it. Going to do it the right way, or try to do it the right way. I'll still make mistakes. I'll still fail. I'm not, but this is my heart, and I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight. I, I've never fought
Yeah.
to fight. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
This is the real warfare. This is the real battle. Look, there have been men of God in the past. Um, uh, was it Elijah? Elisha. But the king, the enemy king, he brought all his people in. He said, "Look, one of you guys are telling the enemy what's going on. We got a spy amongst us." He goes, "No, no." They said, "No, no, it ain't us. It's that man of God, Elisha. I think it was Elisha. Elisha over there. It's that man of God. He hears what you say in your bedroom." That's how close he was to God. That's how we need to be. I wish I was close enough to God to where I could tell you, Mags, I heard from God, and this convoy is going to be perfect. Go, my brother, go. Go in God. God's going to give us a great victory. But I can't because I'm not there. But many of us could be there. There's always been the good people that go to church. Then you've got that next level that are they they're you know what I'm talking about.
Don't you
They're
go back tonight?
special about them. Then you've got that elite group of people. I don't mean that in a secular way, but these people are totally committed to God. You got the same thing in the military. You've got the everyday average. You got the guy that cooks the food and services the jeep and make sure that the weapons are all clean or whatever the case may be. Those people are just as important as anybody else. Then you got the next level that you know they're good fighting people. They can go out into the field and they can fight and they can patrol and they can do things. But then you've got that elite group that goes through special training, that goes through special hardships. They're they do things that other people can't even hope to do, and that's what we're needing in America today. Is we need people to ascend, and it's going to take something. God just don't hand that out. He doesn't hand that out easily. That's going to be earned. That's going to be earned. It's going to be earned on your knees. Smith Wigglesworth, probably never heard of him. Great old Pentecostal preacher, wild man. He done things that was wild. Raised people from the dead. I'm talking. He lived in like he died like in 1950 something. Raised people from the dead. People were healed. I mean, not this goofy stuff that goes on today. I mean, literal healings, undeniable healings. But when he died, Max, they went into his room. He lived in a small little room, upstairs apartment, and they found beside his bed two worn out places on the floorboards where his knees
Mm.
had wore the floorboards out. The doctor said his kneecaps were gone. You want to be elite? You want to be powerful with God? It's not going to happen overnight.
You got to know him.
I love him. I love God with all my heart. And I failed him for all my life. I've talked to my son about this just the other day. I said, I've always been the guy who, when I came up against a situation, I immediately began to try to figure out the solution to it. And I usually could. 99% of the time I could. It was a solution. It wasn't the solution, but it was a solution. I've done that. I'm 58 years old. I've done that my whole life. Nothing's going to stop me. I can do this. Well, we're up against something we're not going to be able to stop. We can come up with a solution, but it's not the solution. I want the solution. And that's when you asked me, do you want to come on tonight? I said, talk about the convoy. I said, I'd rather talk about Jesus. I'm sorry. I just done it, didn't I? Just pray for that.
That's a better topic anyway.
I don't
That's
know.
really, that's where the power lies. That's where our power lies to succeed in this whole movement, is in God, not in man.
Yeah.
So we just need to remember that.
Yeah. I come on here, man. I just want to talk. I love talking to you, period, on the phone or here. We don't talk hardly at all, but just text every once in a while. But I've always enjoyed talking to you. Love you and Faith and your family. You guys, I'll never forget how you treated me when I was in your home. You just made me feel like family. And I've got a lot of people like that across the country. That's just I love you guys. I love the American people. I love the patriots. I love the true patriots. I love them. And I want us to win. I want us to win the right way, and we can. And we can.
America is a divinely planted nation.
It is. I believe that with all my heart. It's look at the blessings. If you've ever read the 2,000-year leap, have you ever read the 2,000-year leap? The basic premise of the book is that for 4,000 years, the world hardly changed at all. I mean, there was some progress in you know tools, and we actually developed a firearm and things like that. But honestly, from the beginning of time till for 4,000 years, it hadn't changed hardly at all until, or I'm sorry, for almost 6,000 years. It hadn't changed at all until that document, the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. Until then, if you go back and look at that point, not just America, it affected the whole world. The world had a 2,000-year leap. It was unbelievable what happened, or I forget it was. But it's amazing what happened after men were able to live freely. It's phenomenal. I mean, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, all these guys that we've heard about, we admire. They still cook their meat over a fire, that wood fire. They were rugged lives, man. And I can fly anywhere in the world today. Think about that difference. It's phenomenal, and this is why it's Important that we retain what was given to us at that time. We have to. We have to. But there's only one way to do that, and that is to remain a moral people. It just doesn't work. Self-governance. That's what this country is. It's self-governance.
Can't
And
say
if you
that.
can't govern yourself personally, you can't have freedom. Okay, the people that came against us, that yelled all these horrendous things and all these lies and stuff, they done it under the First Amendment. It was their First Amendment right, right? Well, it might be your right, but it's immoral. It's immoral to do that kind of stuff. So when you start to attack, when you start to use the rights immorally, okay, it's the right for everyone to keep and bear arms. Absolutely. But when you start to act immoral, you jeopardize those rights for everybody. And this is why, okay, people have asked me why I haven't come out and explained myself. Well, I told everybody I won't fight you and the government. You've heard me say that how many times, Max? I'm not going to fight you. I'm not going to fight the government. Why haven't I come out and just, because I would have to attack people that I love, people that I care about, people that I still believe are good people. I believe they're good people. I'm just not going to, I don't have to justify myself. And to justify myself, I'd have to destroy them. I'm going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Believe whatever you want to believe about me. Say whatever you want to say about me. That's fine. I'm tough. I can take it. But I'm just not going to destroy other people to make me look good. I don't know about you, but I'm looking at myself in the camera and I look pretty good right now.
Yeah, you do. I got you. Never mind. That's kind of awkward joke, but leave it alone. Yeah, the girl asked how your mama's doing.
Mama's doing okay. She went through a pretty hard time there. She was hemorrhaging pretty bad, and turned out to be nothing real serious. But at the same time, they found some leakages in the valves of her heart, and she's just not got her strength back like she has been. And so she still needs prayer. But she's, oh my, I'm telling you, Mags, that 2.5 months I was homesick, that 2.5 months I spent with her, it was horrible, but it was also fantastic. I mean, it was awesome. We got to pray. This is where a lot of this started, what I've talked about tonight. Um, I came back from the Philippines and I was devastated. I was like, I had no mission. I had, I was like, I was devastated. I'll just be honest. I was absolutely devastated. On top of that, this sickness had got, or this condition had got a hold of me. And I was like, okay, God. And I've begun doing this. What are you trying to teach me here? Instead of this is awful and this is horrible and why are you putting me through this? No, what are you trying to teach me in this? Because I knew there was a reason for it. What are you trying to teach me in this? I came back from the Philippines, man. I was all fired up, uh, ready to go back to work, and Myrna was just phenomenal. She was amazing. She's 10,000 times more than I even dreamed she would be, and I got all these big plans for she and I, and man, I'm just all excited about pushing this through and doing the normal David thing. Let's grab the bull by the horns and let's build this. Um, build this relationship and build this home, and I've got big plans, and all of a sudden God just drops this bomb on me, Mags, and I'm either lying in the bed or sitting on a chair looking out the window. I didn't have strength to do anything. I had absolutely no strength, which is right where I needed to be. Right where I needed to be.
Talking about that with
you. Ripping and running. I've done that my whole life. Just rip and run as hard as you can run. And he would not let me come back out to this truck until he had my attention. I'm telling you, he would not. They could not figure out what was wrong with me. And when he got my attention, and they figured out, they figured out what was wrong with it. It took a while for it to start having an effect. You know, the treatment to have an effect took about a month. And by that time, he had my full attention.
I was going to say, when did they start trying to figure out what was wrong with you? Was that like 40 or 50 years ago, or somewhere in
There's
there?
been a lot of speculation on what's
Been a
wrong with me
while,
for
right?
a long time.
A lot of government funding and stuff like that, grants and things.
But it took that's what was so frustrating was, I'm like test after test after test and just waiting. It took 2 weeks. One test I done, um, they come back and say, okay, we think this is the problem. Okay, come back in. It took 2 weeks to get the test results back. They have to send it off somewhere and all this. So they said, come on in. We want to draw some more blood. They drew like 5 vials of blood off of me. And they said, okay, it'll be back in 2 weeks. I'm like, just do it all. I mean, here, get every vial you got and let's just do them all, because that's a month now, and when they got that back, then they was able to start the treatment, which it took a good month before the treatment started having any kind of positive effect. But I worked in 6 days last week. I nearly run out an 80-hour clock, or 70-hour clock rather. Sorry, which is probably 85 hours when you think we put it all together.
Plus, you were probably tired from Christmas and stuff too.
Christmas?
Yeah, you're probably tired from all that running.
To be honest, I kind of farmed it out this year. I kind of phoned it in this year. Like,
okay. I got subcontractor.
I got a subcontractor in on it. I hope he did all right. I'm not getting too many complaints. The normal,
Yeah.
Why didn't I get my? I'm like, okay, you know why,
Right. Same reason as last year.
Yeah.
Oh,
well.
Any closing statements or anything? I'm gonna get going shortly here because part of the reason I came on early was because I'm too tired to be doing these 9:30 to 11 shows on Sunday nights, man.
I understand. It's I'm an hour behind you, so I got a little extra on you. So
I guess party time.
I just
I'll sign off and leave you here.
What's that?
I'll sign off and leave you here.
Oh no, that's okay. No, I'm good. But just tell. I guess closing statement would be you propped me up big there all of a sudden. It kind of scared me, man. To the American people, to the American patriot, the battle's not over. It can never be over. This can never ever happen again. We have to pass it on to our children. Once we win the victory, don't ever let this happen again. And we need to search our hearts and make sure that we're right with God. I mean, sincerely search our hearts and make sure we're right with God. No more playing with God, because God ain't playing. I don't know if you know that or not, but God ain't playing. He is not playing with us.
He might be a little bit upset now.
Yeah. And all of this is on us. We can't blame anybody else. We got to take full responsibility for all of this. And God got it tonight on my Facebook. I've kind of got back on my Facebook, but he said we're all looking for that friend that it was like green flags for people. Someone who, when you leave them, you feel better. That's very encouraging. That's kind and attentive and all this kind of stuff. And we're all looking for that person. I said, and I answered, I says, I want to be that person. That's the person I want to be. If that's what everybody's looking for, then let's become that person. Let's become that person that doesn't tear down but builds up. That even when we admonish, we do it with love and respect and kindness. that we do it for the right reasons. A lot of times we do the right thing, but we do it the wrong way. And let's become that moral, loving, truthful individual that can at the same time be compassionate with where people are at. Um, it's so important that we become who God has created us to be, if we're going to do the work that He's called us to do. And that's my endeavor right now. I'm not working on you, Max. I'm not working on anybody else. I'm just working on me. I'll share my journey. I'll share with what God. I'll share. It's part of the ministry, is sharing what God gives you to share. But it's not to harm you. It's to help you. And that's what we need to start. We need to start accepting truth. We need to start accepting what's real and rejecting what's false. As
Like discernment.
I'm sorry.
Discernment.
Yeah, it's kind of like when the doctor was concerned about my heart. I said, I don't want it to be my heart. And she said, you may not want it to be. I said, no, you don't understand. I mean, I know it could be, but I don't want it to be my heart. I really don't want it to be my heart. She goes, well, you may want it not to be, but it may be. So it wasn't, thankfully. So clean bill of health there.
That's awesome. Good deal.
I
Well,
love you, my brother.
yeah, I love you too. We'll do the Santa and Mags Roadshow again sometime.
That
See,
sounds
you're in
good.
that the new video there. You're in how you got you in the cage there.
Yeah, I saw that. I couldn't help but grin. I said, oh, that's me. That's me going to jail.
Gotcha. Oh, well.
So
All right.
anyway,
Well, be safe. Be safe.
all right, brother. I'll let you guys go.
Yeah, I'll be praying for you and Mama.
Thank you. Thank you so much. God bless you all.
We'll see you next time. Next time.